Egg, mashed potatoes, we are gonna have a good time. The turkey, egg, mashed potatoes, it's Thanksgiving, it's Thanksgiving.
It is indeed Thanksgiving week here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome to it. A lot to get to on this abbreviated but still busy broadcast week. We're here, of course, Monday through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off for the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm also taking a couple of days to be with family. It wouldn't be a Dan O'Donnell family celebration if it didn't last at least 5 days. If you would like to join us on this foray into broadcast excellence, or far more likely, broadcast competence, our AdventNows.com talk and text line is always open. 414-799-1130, 1-800-838-9476 is our toll-free talk and text line. You can reach me via email, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter/X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. And we are streaming live via the Dan O'Cam at youtube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. We are following breaking news at Franklin High School, where there is, as recently as 7-8 minutes ago, the last time I checked with one of my sources inside the building, a lockdown. The Franklin Police Department is sweeping the building looking for some sort of threat. This according to message to the campus community from Franklin High School. Again, police are checking for threats. One of my sources inside the building said officers do have guns drawn. Now, I don't want to draw any conclusions or cause any unnecessary panic or fear. If you have a student at Franklin High School, the school has been locked down since about 8:30 this morning as the Franklin Police Department is going in sweeping for threats. I have not heard anything about subject with gun, subject with weapon, shots fired, anything like that. So it sounds as though, just out of an abundance of caution, the thing that gets me, though, is officers inside a school with guns drawn. Seems to me that they're taking this a bit more seriously than your, and I don't want to say your typical school threat, but this is something that is apparently very serious. Also, for those of you who are on the roads right now, if you are anywhere near Moreland Road, you know I-94 eastbound shut down following a shots fired incident. The traffic reroute for eastbound traffic, exit on Moreland, take Blue Mound Road east to Highway 100. There you can get back on I-94. So just a mess all the way around, and we will continue to update these still developing stories as we get them. It is President Biden's 81st birthday today, and we would like to extend our birthday greetings in a manner that he would understand, that he himself would say. So we say to President Biden on this, his 81st birthday, Happy Labor Day, sir. We hope you have a wonderful Easter. We will get to the new level of panic that Democrats are feeling about President Biden's re-election chances. Now, NBC News has joined CNN, the New York Times, and a number of other polling outfits in hitting the panic button on President Biden's potential rematch with Donald Trump. That story in the 10 o'clock hour. We named the unhinged liberal of the day later on in this hour, and much, much more. You know, things were getting a little out of hand for the left. All of this anti-Semitism coming from the pro-Palestinian marches all over. You know, things are getting tough for Biden. You know how I can tell? I can always tell when the left needs a new narrative. The neo-Nazis come out to play. That is a group of about 20 morons, all masked, of course, all wearing red, all carrying Nazi flags, marching through downtown Madison. They are apparently members of the Blood Tribe under the direction of Christopher Pohlhauser, who has distinctive tattoos on his face and neck. both of which could be seen in photos and videos of the group on Saturday as they were doing their little tiptoe through the tulips of Madison, Wisconsin. This, according to Madison 365. Almost all of those guys were masked, and they were wearing the red and black uniform of the Blood Tribe. They walked up State Street to the Capitol, then on to the Gates of Life Synagogue, the historical structure at James Madison Park. There has been some speculation that these guys are feds. I did take a look at Polhauser and tried to match up his tattoos with one of the dudes who can be seen on video. It does appear to be him. Now, I don't know if this guy is a leftist stooge or something like that, but it does raise the question, why is it that these guys seem to come out of nowhere and then they disappear back into the hole that they crawled out of without anyone ever being able to identify them? And of course, immediately, all of the leadership in Madison and across the state condemned this. Governor Tony Evers, in a statement Saturday, to see neo-Nazis marching in our streets and neighborhoods and in the shadow of our state capitol building, spreading their disturbing, hateful messages, is truly revolting. Let us be clear, neo-Nazis, anti-Semitism, and white supremacy have no home in Wisconsin. We will not accept or normalize this rhetoric and hate. It's repulsive and disgusting. And I join Wisconsinites in condemning and denouncing their presence in our state in the strongest terms possible. Jennifer Mnuchin, UW-Madison chancellor, the presence of this hateful group in Madison is utterly repugnant. I am horrified to see these symbols here in Madison. Hatred and anti-Semitism are completely counter to the university's values, and the safety and well-being of our community must be our highest priorities. And you know what? I actually am on their side on this one. Hate has no home in Madison, especially on the UW-Madison campus. That's why when you hear disturbing anti-Semitic chants like the ones I'm about to play, we need to have our leaders like Mnuchin and Evers condemn them. Just listen to what these Nazis were saying on Saturday.
Palestinians have a right to rebel. What that means is they have a right to free their land from the river to the sea by any means necessary. And I do mean any means necessary.
Long live Palestine. Thank you all for being here, for raising your voices to celebrate the glorious victory of the resistance.
And the several other joyful and powerful images which came from the glorious October 7th.
Yes!
I want you to picture those in your mind. I want you all to remember how you felt when you saw those images and heard the news. I remember feeling so empowered and happy.
Yeah. Those Nazis, they are terrible when they feel empowered and happy when Jewish people lose their lives. How about, okay, fine. Those weren't the Nazis on Saturday in Madison. Those were different Nazis from all across the country. But how about these Nazis? October 10th, 2023, outside of a UW-Madison building. Remember, this was 3 days after the October 7th terror attack, and these Nazis were chanting this.
Glory to the martyrs! Glory to the martyrs!
Do you know what you're saying when we say, we will liberate the land? There you go. We will liberate the land by any means necessary. We will liberate the land! By any means necessary!
That actually was a pro-Palestinian rally on October 10th. 3 days after the terror attack that cost 1,200 innocent Israeli lives and led to hundreds of Israelis, including dozens of American citizens, being taken hostage. Most of those hostages are still being held. Yes, we do now have video of them being taken to the Al-Shifa hospital, where they're apparently being held underneath in a complex series of tunnels that Hamas has built. Coincidentally enough, right by civilian targets where, if they're attacked, it would be a PR nightmare for the Israelis. But this is critical to understand. That rally, featuring pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli Nazis screaming, "Glory to the martyrs," the martyrs being the terrorists who killed innocents just days earlier. And we will liberate the land by any means necessary. A clear call, a clear justification of terrorism, and it has been adopted as a call for more terrorism. By any means necessary means just that. Remember their other chant, when people are occupied, resistance is justified. That was on Jennifer Mnuchin's UW campus, October 10th. Why do I keep bringing up that date? Because it was well before Israel started to attack Hamas as a measure of freeing hostages. And this isn't, please keep in mind, it seems as though the 200 plus hostages that Hamas is holding have sort of been forgotten in this whole thing, isn't it? That this is always seen or framed in our media as retaliation, Israel's retaliation, and it's a disproportional retaliation to the attack of October 7th. No, this is also an attempt to free hostages currently being used as human shields at Hamas's headquarters underneath a hospital. On October 10th, Israel had not launched its counteroffensive. When this woman was saying glory to the martyrs, and remember there was some question about whether she was saying glory to the murders. No, a popular chant, as we have learned in the month since that protest, is glory to the martyrs. This is almost worse than saying glory to the murders, because what she's doing is raising up literal terrorists because they killed a whole bunch of Jews. I hate to break it to the neo-Nazi goons who are marching in Madison. Hitler has been dead for almost 80 years. He ain't coming back. There is a new Nazi movement right now whose goal is the extermination of the Jewish people and the Jewish state. It's called Hamas. It's in their charter. Now, they tried to amend it about 25 years after it was first released, after Hamas was first chartered in 1989, to be a little softer and try to excise all the language about the wholesale slaughter of Jews being one of their aims. But think about the reaction. And of course, all of the local media was obsessing over the neo-Nazis marching in downtown Madison all weekend long. How dare they do this? How dare they do this on State Street during the last home football game of this season? How dare they? There was universal condemnation from the left, from the right, from everyone. Everybody understands that these are scum of the earth people. Nobody supports the neo-Nazis. How many of them were there? 20, maybe. I think I counted 21, including Pohlhaus. That's the extent of his reach. In fact, Madison 365. This guy is one of the most prominent neo-Nazis in the country, Christopher Pohlhaus. There's a direct quote. When Instagram removed his videos, he moved to Telegram, where he currently has about 3,000 followers. Folks, I am a mid-sized market talk radio host. I'm fairly certain I have 3,000 followers on Instagram, and I don't post on Instagram. 3,000 followers is nothing. This guy has no reach. The neo-Nazi right-wing movement is not alive and well in this country. Because so many people, in fact, 99.9999999999999% of people universally condemn it. There are more people who condemn Nazis in this country than who say they like cupcakes or puppies. The one thing we can kind of agree upon, despite the fiction that the left has created, that Donald Trump is a Nazi and Republicans are Nazis, and everyone I disagree with is a Nazi. When it comes to actual white supremacist, blood tribe, white nationalism, white supremacism, neo-Nazism, nobody stands with it. You didn't see the people of Madison joining like children following the Pied Piper here. Nobody does. But guess which form of anti-Semitism draws thousands of people each rally? They crowd major cities from London to New York to Los Angeles. They chant, "We will liberate the land by any means necessary. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." The left has sort of pretended, oh, this is just a fun little chant. You shouldn't take it literally. Well, how else should you take it? When you had people on the UW-Madison campus, many of them students, just looking at them, it's on the campus, these all appear to be college-aged kids. There was not a single word of condemnation from Jennifer Mnuchin or Governor Evers or anyone else. In fact, I dare say I was the only person in media in either Madison or Milwaukee or anywhere else in this state to actually draw attention to this protest and what these people were saying. Long before Israel ever launched a counteroffensive against Hamas, they were glorifying the terror attack. They were celebrating the slaughter of Jews. You know who else does that? Yeah, Nazis. But apparently, this type of Nazism is acceptable. This type of Nazism doesn't deserve condemnation from Wisconsin's governor, or UW-Madison's chancellor, or anyone else on the left for fear of offending the increasingly mainstream anti-Semitism that is running like a river through the Democratic Party. More on this coming up next.
Conservative thought, not just talk. The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back.
The next generation of streaming is here. Introducing Spectrum One Stream. Get 300 megabit internet for $49.99 a month, including advanced Wi-Fi, and one unlimited mobile line free for 12 months. And when you add Spectrum TV, get a Xumo Stream Box free for 12 months. Spectrum One Stream. It's streaming simplified. Visit Spectrum.com for details. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Do you have questions about Medicare? Let us help. Aetna has Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage with a $0 monthly plan premium. Aetna plans also include essential programs like transportation, a healthy rewards program, fitness benefit, and more. Call Aetna today at 1-833-771-7542 to learn more. There's no obligation to enroll. One of our licensed agents will answer your call. Call today, 1-833-771-7542. Aetna Medicare is an HMO PPO plan with Medicare contract. Our DSNPs also have contracts with state Medicaid programs. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal. Plan features and availability may vary by service area.
Choose from countless luxury flooring options at Flawless Flooring's New Berlin or Delafield Idea Gallery. Flawless Flooring's employee-only installers beautify your everyday going forward right after eliminating carpet stains and stink. Sensory underload, Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
If you're someone who is experiencing shoulder, hip, or knee pain and a total joint replacement may be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. Find them at orthowisconsin.com.
Everybody needs an edge. The other guy is working on his edge right now, whether you have one or not. Testosterone levels are at an all-time low historically, and individual T levels in men decline 1% every year with age. There's a new champion of natural testosterone boosters, and it's called CHOQ, C-H-O-Q. 100% natural herbal extracts with game-changing effects on your energy, mood, and focus. CHOQ Daily's main ingredient has been clinically studied to boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity with higher T and a massive boost of energy by taking CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack every day. Take the 90-day CHOQ Challenge and reap the benefits of the reigning champion of natural men's health with CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack. For a very limited time only, CHOQ, C-H-O-Q, is giving our listeners a 30% discount with promo code USA. That's CHOQ.com, code USA, for 30% off while supplies last.
Here's why Money Warshevsky.
Show summaries, podcasts, political tidbits,
and the hottest photo galleries in radio. All available to you whenever you demand them at newstalk1130.com.
Smart speakers put WISN's programs as close as the sound of your voice. Tell Alexa, Google Home, or Siri on HomePod to play 1130 WISN on iHeartRadio and listen to Milwaukee's best talk shows.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
We continue to follow developing news at Franklin High School. The school is on lockdown. Other schools in the Franklin School District are on secure holds based on some sort of threat. We did hear from a source inside Franklin High School who is locked down in a classroom and saw several Franklin police officers or law enforcement officers. I don't know if this person could see specifically the uniform. She did see them with guns drawn, which suggests to me that maybe this is a little bit more serious than some sort of vague, unidentified threat. I will say this, it does not appear, at least to me, that, and you know what, I don't want to engage in, I'm not even going to engage in any speculation, but if there's anyone from the Franklin High School community who would like to give me more information, 414-799-1130 is our AdventNews.com talk and text line. Probably a better way to do it. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. We are also following the full eastbound freeway closure, I-94 near Moreland Road. And there is apparently an investigation of a shots fired incident. Do we know what time this started? About 7 o'clock? We don't know. All right. So just be aware that this is going on. I usually don't share this sort of traffic stuff because we've got so many people who are going to be listening to this show hours from now. Like, oh, the freeway's just fine. What's this guy talking about? Do you realize that I will sometimes get emails saying, Dan, you just mentioned this. It's like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, I appreciate it, dear listener, but I am in bed not doing a show right now. But because there are so many people traveling today, I think a lot of people took off these 3 days and are starting their Thanksgiving break a little bit early. So many people on the roads. We feel like we need to keep you abreast of what it is that's going on. The Nazis gather in Madison, and there is a collective leftist freakout because they've created this idea for themselves that they're trying to pass along to gullible people, that this is a widespread, massive movement in support of Donald Trump, and they really do believe that people like you and I are sympathetic to Nazi beliefs. And of course, you had Jennifer Mnuchin, the UW-Madison chancellor, and Governor Evers issue press releases outraged and horrified that about 20 lowlifes from the so-called Blood Tribe were walking around downtown Madison, yet they're completely silent when 3 days after the October 7th terror attack, you got UW-Madison students gathering together to chant in support of the destruction of Israel.
Glory to the martyrs! Glory to the martyrs! Do you know what you say when we say, we will liberate the land? There you go. We will liberate the land by any means necessary. We will liberate the land! By any means necessary!
That's a direct call for more terrorism. And it was a call well before Israel launched its ground invasion, before they started airstrikes in earnest. This was a celebration. Remember, there were rallies in support of the Palestinians the day after October 7th. October 8th in New York City, they were rallying in support of the Palestinian terror attack that slaughtered 1,200 innocent people, the largest Jewish loss of life since the literal Holocaust. You want to talk about where the real dangerous anti-Semitism bordering on Nazism is in this country right now. It's not on the right. It is coursing through the veins of the Democrat Party. And I'll tell you what, they are terrified of it. Brand new NBC News poll out yesterday had Steve Kornacki, NBC's data guy, on Meet the Press to talk about just how many young voters oppose President Biden's handling of the Hamas-Israel conflict. Why do they oppose it? because he's been remarkably pro-Israel.
Overall, this is the handling of the Israel-Hamas war. And again, it kind of measures overall up with Biden's foreign policy approval. But look at this. Among the oldest group of voters, 65 plus, there's a majority who approve of how Biden is handling this. That's plus 12. Look at the youngest group of voters. 20 approve, 70% disapprove. He is 50 points underwater with the youngest group of voters. That is a 62-point net swing between youngest and oldest on this topic of Israel-Hamas.
Now, who do you suppose is driving this? It is not 18 to 34-year-old blood tribe members. It's 18 to 34-year-old left-wingers. There is a massive disconnect between baby boom liberals, almost all of whom support Israel. Well, I shouldn't say almost all of whom. At least 55 to 60% support Israel and understand that what's going on here really is an attempted genocide, just not by Israel, by the Palestinians, who have said over and over and over again, pretty consistently for the past nearly 80 years, that they want to wipe Israel off the map. The day after Israel first became a country in 1948, did Israel attack 6 Muslim countries, or did 6 Muslim countries attack Israel? Exactly. This has got liberals so scared that young voters, the radicalized anti-Semitic wing of the Democratic Party, are so out of lockstep with Biden on this that it might cost him re-election. Noted anti-Semite and MSNBC host Mehdi Hasan actually had this remarkably telling exchange with Texas Congressman Greg Cesar, a Democrat, about Hamas and Israel.
A big issue, of course, driving this fall in the Biden numbers is Israel's bombardment of Gaza. A majority of Democratic voters believe Israel has gone too far in its actions in Gaza, according to the new poll. Among voters aged 18 to 34, a whopping 70% of them disapprove of Biden's handling of the war. Could the president lose re-election because of what's happening in Gaza right now? And therefore, how big a political and a moral mistake is it for Joe Biden to so uncritically back Israel and back this war?
There is the critical moral case, but as you've laid out here, Mehdi, there is an important view of the politics that we have to look at here. I believe that NBC poll because I just ran a poll here in my own district in Central Texas, running from San Antonio up to Austin, and 80% of Democratic voters said they were more likely to support an elected official who is standing for a ceasefire and peace and protecting innocent civilians, Israeli and Palestinian alike, from getting killed. And I am proud to see more and more members of Congress moving in this direction. And even the president starting to move in the direction of saying we need a ceasefire and long-term peace without killing thousands more innocent people. That's where our voters are.
80%. And that's in Texas. Texas Democrats tend to be a little bit more conservative than the rest of the country. A Texas Democrat, outside of maybe Austin, is not a San Francisco Democrat. 80% of them are saying ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. Hamas is holding hundreds of innocent Israelis, including several dozen Americans, hostage. American citizens lost their lives on October 7th. And yet you've got a massive amount of Democrats saying, well, Israel needs to just accept a ceasefire. So what happens to the hostages? They just kind of start a new life underneath Al-Shifa Hospital in the Hamas tunnels? Have we just sort of forgotten about this? Or is there a massive number, a number that makes Democrats very uncomfortable, of young, radicalized, millennial, Generation Z, and even younger voters who frankly can't stand Israel, can't stand, I hate to say it, but the Jewish people, and the last month has given me no reason to change my mind on this, that in fact it's the radicalized left that is far more in line with the neo-Nazi movement than the quote-unquote alt-right. It is amazing. Have you heard one elected Democrat, forget about Mnuchin and Tony Evers virtue signaling about the 20 neo-Nazis. 20! How many thousands of Palestinian marchers screaming from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Guess what's currently between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea? Israel. They're not calling for a two-state solution. They're calling for a one-state solution, and the other state just sort of doesn't exist anymore. Imagine the outrage if Russians were in the streets chanting, "From Crimea to Kyiv, Ukraine will be ours." The left would freak out, wouldn't they? If there were a whole bunch of conservatives chanting, "Glory be to Putin." It's staggering. I mean, we've had two pretty sizable global conflicts, not global conflicts, but you know what I mean, regional conflicts with global implications across the world. Two of them. One, Democrats are doing their best Dick Cheney impression and are about as hawkish as any people I've ever seen. Yeah, keep arming the Ukrainians, keep arming the Ukrainians. And then the one Jewish state in the world gets attacked. And they say, whoa, we need a ceasefire here. Sure, a whole bunch of grannies and babies got slaughtered, but we need to stop. Israel, no. Sure, you were invaded just like Ukraine was, but you all need to stop and just sort of suck it up like big boys. That's part and parcel of living next to the Palestinians. You got to deal with some rocket attacks. You got to deal with the occasional terror strike. Is that not what they're saying? Dan O'Donnell Show, coming right back after this.
Hello, commercial customers. This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center, and it's end of the year tax planning season. We've continued to work hard sourcing over 400 of the best GM, Hino, and Isuzu commercial trucks from all over the country. Most are ready to go, and some are ready for your custom upfit. The best part? All of our trucks qualify for the Section 179 tax deduction for 2023. Now, I know you're busy running your business, but we've made it easy. Go to lynchtruckcenter.com, select your truck, and click on the green button on each truck page to instantly see potential tax savings. For example, if you buy a $50,000 truck at a 22% tax rate, you'll get $11,000 in potential tax savings. You can deduct 100% of the purchase price from your 2023 taxes. Essentially, the truck will only cost you $39,000. Remember, we are in the truck business, not accountants. So, be sure to verify these tax savings with your tax professional. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com today. We won't disappoint you.
Hot summer night. Lightning strike. Down goes the tree, right through their bedroom wall, nearly ruining a walnut headboard, which is pretty hard wood. Fortunately, the customers were okay. But the headboard? That wasn't. Until they called us. We made that Victorian headboard better than new. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing, repair, and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, a place I've been recommending for years because they really do treat you like family. But don't just take my word for it. Here's John. I needed a new windshield for my vehicle, so we took it to Mander and we couldn't be happier. We didn't think much about selecting a glass company and figured they were all the same, take a number type operations, but not Mander. Excellent customer service, quick with the replacement, and quality work. They made us feel like we were important to them. I couldn't recommend them more. It is nice to see a business that still cares about their customers. John, Mander really does. And with 5 locations to serve you in Waukesha, Brookfield, Heartland, Cedarburg, and a brand new facility now open in Muskego, Mander truly is your best decision after a collision, and why I've been recommending them them as highly as John does. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com.
Want to make your yard the envy of the neighborhood? Tune in to Brett Octenhagen's Seasonal Services Designer Yard Show to learn landscaping secrets. Visit seasonalservices.com and listen on News Talk 1130 WISN, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Attorney Tom Nichols.
When you choose a law firm to represent your closely held business, quality matters. The experience, integrity, and sound judgment of the attorneys who will be serving you is what counts. Attorneys at Meisner, Tierney, Fisher & Nichols have worked with clients for 20, 30, even 40 years, which speaks to our client satisfaction, but also to the value we place on mutually beneficial long-term relationships. Not all firms work that way, but it's important that you choose one that does. High integrity and earned respect have been hallmarks of our firm for quite some time. We've been representing businesses here in Wisconsin for over 170 years. When you choose our firm, you will be working with some of Wisconsin's most experienced and respected attorneys. Quality does matter.
Good clients deserve good lawyers. Meisner, Tierney, Fisher & Nichols. MTFN.com.
Blue Mountain Express. We're going to put a smile on your face. We make it easy. BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Blue Mountain Express, moving and storage, statewide.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Ashley Banfield and Chris Cuomo on America's fastest growing cable news network, News Nation.
The viewer seems to have been lost in the shuffle of cable news lately. They don't want a team sport. They want the full picture.
The appetite is greater than it has ever been for perspective, for understanding, and for information that they can not just trust, but use.
See why more people are turning to News Nation, news for all America. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com.
The free iHeartRadio app is your home for the holidays. Open the app and click on the holiday banner, or search iHeart Holiday and start listening to your local holiday station. Plus stations playing all kinds of holiday music, Christmas classics, Christmas jazz, country, R&B, tons of playlists, even podcasts. Yay! Our gift to you, the perfect holiday soundtrack. Join the millions of listeners on the iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
iHeartRadio.
The next generation is here. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
A couple of weeks ago, I told the story of a listener who had his SUV stolen in downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee Police Department told him that a couple of thieves tried hot wiring the car. When they couldn't do that, they came back with a white pickup truck and just towed it away to strip it down for parts. Here's the Snapchat message. Police department called me saying my car got broken into by 3 dudes at 4:50 a.m. And once they tried hot wiring, they couldn't get it to start. They came back with a white tow truck and took it away for its parts. Don't know how, but the same dudes had a tow truck. The Milwaukee Police Department recovered the car the other day. I've got pictures of it on my social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter/X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. I would highly recommend you check it out. When I say this vehicle is gutted, it's gutted. The doors are gone. The bumpers are gone. Fenders are ripped off. Everything. I think just the steering wheel remains. The entire steering column appears to be gone. Everything that could possibly be... Are you looking at it right now? It did look like it went through a nuclear attack. It looks like a bombed out car like you would see in Afghanistan. It is stunning. the way this car was stripped out. It's at a Milwaukee Police Department tow lot where it was taken because pretty obviously it's no longer drivable. And when I first posted this, there were a number of leftists who responded to it saying, yeah, tow truck, sure, yeah, I'll bet this happened. Well, it did. And in fact, one of my sources at the Milwaukee Police Department has said that one of the things that is being done is that tow trucks are going around to just strip cars for parts that can't be broken into. The Hyundais and the Kias are very easy to hotwire and just take off. And a lot of kids are just doing this. We've known this for years, the joyriding phenomenon, that kids will just take the car and destroy it and drive it around for a while and then just abandon it. It's something fun to do, apparently. The Kia boys do this. But there's also a much more sophisticated operation that they are actually stealing cars for parts. The other aspect of this that I don't think is brought up enough, the smash and grab robberies of cars. We know that over the past couple of years that there have been more than 1,000 guns stolen in Milwaukee just out of cars. So whenever you see it, this was a thing 2021, 2022, we would hear about this happening far more often. There would just be a line of cars all parked on the street in Milwaukee. Every single one of them had their windows smashed. What we now know, thanks to Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman, who in a press conference a couple of months ago confirmed that what these thieves are doing is looking for guns. This is how an awful lot of guns that are subsequently used in homicides, used in crimes, get into the hands of bad actors. They're stolen. It is amazing that no one else in the entire country seems interested. If this is going on in Milwaukee, I'm willing to wager it's also going on in other cities. Chicago, New York, which has seen a bit of an uptick in crime, Los Angeles, San Francisco. All of these cities, Washington, D.C. has seen a huge uptick in car theft and violent crime. Detroit, Memphis, Tennessee. Wouldn't it be interesting to know just how many guns aren't purchased legally, but rather are stolen? In other words, how many cities for which more gun control laws would do nothing? We have a massive issue with car theft in this city, in this state, all across the country, perhaps nowhere more so than in Milwaukee. But the primary reason for this is that it is not taken seriously as the serious crime that it is. And I dare you, take a look. I'm just going to retweet this right now. I posted it a couple of days ago. Take a look at my Twitter profile and tell me that what they did to this poor guy's car is not a serious crime.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is a podcast. Hosted every Thursday after 7:30 p.m., we will preview the big football games of the weekend and get point spread picks of me, Mike Burlett, Paul, and an audience contestant on the iHeart app or wherever you get your podcast. The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest podcast, the podcast for your football weekend.
Football information that's both engaging and useful. The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest podcast from News Talk 1130 WISN.
Josh from Infinity here. The exterior remodeling industry is notorious for wild price disparities and hidden costs. Infinity has revolutionized the exterior remodeling experience. Our custom-built app is your window into our world of clear, accurate pricing.
MJ here. No more guesswork. No more unpleasant surprises. Every detail, all materials are clear for you to see. Absolute pricing transparency makes Infinity the most trusted roofing and exterior remodeling company in the Midwest.
We built Infinity on a foundation of integrity. More than installing roofs, siding, and windows, Infinity installs peace of mind, building lifelong relationships with our customers.
Infinity's proprietary app is an extension of our commitment, providing exact line item pricing, something unheard of in roofing and exterior remodeling.
Infinity's unmatched buying power saves you money. We pay less, you pay less. Infinity provides multiple budget options real time. Everything is at your fingertips, including financing options before we leave your home.
Warranted, guaranteed quality, installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
Welcome to Enchant, home of the world's largest Christmas light maze and village. This holiday season, grab the hand of the one you love and wander through a magical display of larger-than-life light sculptures. Glide along a stunning ice skating trail and taste your way through a host of seasonal delights. Enchant, lighting up Franklin Field, November 24th through December 31st. Tickets on sale now at enchantchristmas.com.
Attorney Tom Grieve here for Divergent Family Law. Many divorce lawyers set the divorce stage as a cage match, fight of your life. They make money off your misery. The quality of your attorney and Wisconsin law have greater impact on your divorce decree than fighting will. Divergent Family Law is the right firm for your soul and finances. Transitioning to your own life path doesn't have to mean doing as much damage possible to everyone involved. Divergent Family Law. Separate and equal, or better. DivergentFamilyLaw.com.
Getting ready to hunt? Make sure you're aware of baiting and feeding bans this season. Baiting and feeding leads deer to congregate unnaturally. If infected, these deer can spread diseases like chronic wasting disease to each other and endanger the herd's health. Baiting and feeding bans are active in most of Wisconsin's counties. Help keep Wisconsin's deer herd healthy. For more information on your area, visit dnr.wi.gov and search baiting and feeding.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellenbecker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
The following takes place in the home of a Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric customer.
This furnace is in bad shape, Jason.
It's okay. That's what a beyondification is for. Merle, hand me that wrench. Yep, we're going to recalibrate it back to like-new condition.
I'm working on the deep clean right now.
Okay, Merle, jump on the comprehensive safety check.
How's that beyondification coming, guys?
Going well, Laura. We'll have Miss Taylor's furnace purring away at maximum efficiency in no time.
Saving her money on energy bills every month.
And extending the life of her furnace.
That'll save her even more money.
Way beyond the standard tune-up.
And it's the best thing you can do to prepare your home.
Because winter is coming.
Okay, guys, we have another beyondification right down the street when you're done.
Roger that. Merle, hand me the drill.
Call Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric today to schedule your furnace beyondification or schedule online at callcapitalcares.com.
Ashley Banfield and Chris Cuomo on America's fastest growing cable news network, News Nation.
The viewer seems to have been lost in the shuffle of cable news lately. They don't want a team sport. They want the full picture.
The appetite is greater than it has ever been for perspective, for understanding, and for information that they can not just trust, but use.
See why more people are turning to News Nation, news for all America. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com.
Hey, this is Mike McGivern. Listen to the Home Improvement Show, built by Creative Construction of Wisconsin and covered by Bayview Shade and Blind. We're talking everything home improvement. Saturday at 8, only on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Source at Franklin High School who says there was no violent incident or anything like that prompted the lockdown. I'm sort of piecing together what happened. It appears that a student may have taken a gun belonging to a parent, then did not get on the bus to go to school, and they wanted to make sure that the student with the gun was not at the school. So it appears as though the school was placed on lockdown with the possibility that there was a student who had brought a firearm to school. Obviously, it's a very serious incident, but I can confirm, I'm not sure if the lockdown is still going on, but I can confirm there was not a shooting, anything like that, no violent incident at the school. So it appears to me, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but it appears the situation has normalized at Franklin High School. Time now to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
Possibly. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is ABC News chief political correspondent Jonathan Karl, who late last week told Stephen Colbert that the whole reason he wrote a book about Trump's presidency and Donald Trump was to convince people that Donald Trump is terrible and should never be elected president again. Remember, this is ABC News' chief political correspondent.
Part of what's happened is people look back. There's anxiety in the country. People have economic anxiety. There's discontent with Joe Biden. And I think there's some superficially a sense of like, look, if we can only go back to 4 years ago, the world was relatively at peace, inflation was low, everything was. I think there's some of that. And that's why I wrote this book, because if people are going to go into this next election thinking about that, they also need to be thinking not just about what Trump was, but what he is now and what he is proposing and planning to do, what a second Trump administration would look like. And I don't think people have come to terms with that.
In other words, don't vote on policy. Don't vote on which man you think is better for the job. Vote on how much I dislike Donald Trump and believe you should dislike him. This is a reporter. It's a stunning admission, and that's why Jonathan Karl is your unhinged liberal of the day. It is Thanksgiving week, and on the market, we have a lot to be thankful for. A nice little rally following the Federal Reserve signaling that it's probably done raising interest rates, and we could see perhaps a period of rate cuts. We bring in Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex Wealth Management. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Yes, and that is really the idea, is the fact that if they are at the rate hiking cut, they're going to stop the rate hiking cycle. That is important, Dan, and the reason why is because the pause is really a time when the market begins to rally, and we're starting to see that. We're starting to see the beginning of a Santa Claus rally. But as you and I talked about for an entire year, and I do want to pound the table on that, the fact is they could have a soft landing, and that's something that you and I talked about. It is possible that all of these economists were saying that we were going to have a deep recession, and I argued the fact that there is a possibility that they'll have a soft landing. Do they stick the landing? That's really another question, because it's not the pause, Dan, that it really allows the rally. It is what comes after that causes the concern, and that means if they start the rate hiking cycle, they start to lower the rate hike, that is really when you start to see the economy start to slow down, and that is the concern. So, you talk about also one more thing, Dan, if I can, is talk about what cycles are doing better and what sectors are doing better. Financials and consumer stocks have done pretty well. Even utilities have done well over the last area. So take a look at your portfolio, know what's in your portfolio and why you own it. And of course, policy is so important as we saw fiscal policy. So back to your earlier point, policy does matter, and it matters more than politics.
He is Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex Wealth Management. He and I will record our weekly podcast, The Difference, right after this radio show. You can get it on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Dave, hope you and your family have a wonderful, joyous, and very happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Dan, and to you and your listeners and your family as well.
Coming up on the Dan O'Donnell Show, on President Biden's 81st birthday, new panic over, well, just how old he is. More importantly, how he is perceived to be in the early to mid stages of dementia. There is clearly something wrong, and we will get into that, plus the politics of a third-party candidate. Who that really hurts. This is the thing that everyone is freaking out about right now. We'll dive into that, and a massive revolution in Argentina, of all places. Stay tuned. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Tad Allen. We've got a couple of stories we're keeping an eye on. First, Franklin High School is in a lockdown this morning. News release from the Franklin School District says no one will be allowed in the school and students are in their classrooms. Franklin police are at the school, securing the building and checking for any potential threats. Secondly, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Office shut down the eastbound lanes of I-94 at Moreland Road this morning following a shots fired incident. Officials say that portion of the freeway will be closed for an unknown amount of time. They suggest you exit on Moreland Road, take Blue Mound Road eastbound to Highway 100, then from there you can get back onto eastbound I-94. About 24 members of a neo-Nazi group staged a midday march in and around downtown Madison Saturday. It drew condemnation from a number of leaders. Social media posts showed members of the Blood Tribe, a white supremacist group that targets Jews, people of color, and the LGBTQ community. The men, mostly wearing red shirts and masks, were seen waving swastikas, shouting racial slurs, and chanting, "There will be blood." Governor Tony Evers released a statement condemning the group's repulsive and disgusting rhetoric, while UW-Madison Chancellor Jennifer Mnuchin said she was horrified to see the march on campus. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter died yesterday. She married Jimmy Carter in 1946. They were married for 77 years. As First Lady, she focused her advocacy on performing arts and improving mental health programs. Rosalind Carter was 96 years old. Checking the WISN Sports Scoreboard, the Bucks are in action tonight in the nation's capital as they face the Washington Wizards. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen, News Talk 1130 WISN.
The news is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, and I'm so proud to be a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, a Christian, and an American. My wife Amy and I did our best to educate our children about our reasons for embracing traditional values. This summer, Amy and I became empty nesters, and now our young adults are in the real world with the American dream in their heads, their hearts, and soon it will be in their hands to share with others. God is good. Marriage and children are a blessing. Capitalism works, and America is grand. She is rich with beautiful places to explore. She's a melting pot of beautiful people. Diverse? Yes. But we are still blessed to have so much in common. Ignore the politicians and the media who sow seeds of hate. Let's embrace the wonders of life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness in America. Join me in discovering the wonders of nature and the wonders of America.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Cloudy skies on this Monday with temperatures that will be a little bit cooler and below average in the mid to upper 40s. We won't have rain move in until tonight, but you'll notice an increase of winds ahead of our next system through the day today. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by Saturn Lounge, a full-service marketing agency.
Jay Weber here saying, if your marketing campaign has gone stale, check out SaturnLounge.com. The Saturn Lounge team will create a fresh and engaging marketing plan for you that's dialed into your company's needs. If it's time to produce results, go to SaturnLounge.com and let them tell the world your story. SaturnLounge.com.
Hi, I'm Willa Voss. I'm 8 years old. Mom and Dad own Cut and Go Tree Service. Yes, they did name me after a tree. Our family loves this country and the freedom it provides. Every morning, I look forward to starting the school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say it along with me, even if you just say it in your mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. American patriots will enjoy a 5% discount for flying the American flag and mentioning this commercial when the Cut and Go remote control, automobile mounted, articulated crane, grapple saw operators are putting your dead trees on the ground or removing large branches that grew over something important. An all-American, tons of trees movement, cutandgotrees.com. That's CUTNGOTREES.com.
Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. Dignified services with less expensive fees compared to other fine funeral homes. Church and Chapel Funeral Homes. There's one near you.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who is experiencing shoulder, hip, or knee pain and a total joint replacement may be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
You have to have insurance. The law requires it, but it's also common sense protection against unexpected events. There's insurance, and then there's a peace of mind relationship when you need it most. The kind you get with State Farm agent Joe Wolfley. Joe and his State Farm team set you up for success in any circumstance. Learn more at insuremke.com. That's insuremke.com. Joe Wolfley State Farm Insurance. Now with 3 locations to serve you better. Mequon, Delafield, and Pewaukee.
What's gotten lost in a lot of news coverage is trust.
Dan Abrams and Elizabeth Vargas on America's fastest growing cable news network, News Nation.
News Nation is the place that people can come because they trust that at the least we're trying to be straight with them.
Every point of view is represented. That's what we do. We only earn that trust, keep that trust by every single night fulfilling that mission.
To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com.
Be sure to listen to the NX Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. NX provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
Our favorite 4-letter word. Free! Free. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
When you want to hear your favorite Christmas music, listen to Milwaukee's Christmas station for the past 2 decades. 95.7 Big FM.
It's Thanksgiving. We're gonna have a good time. It's Thanksgiving. We are gonna have a good time. The turkey, eggs, potatoes, eggs. We are gonna have a good time. The turkey, eggs, potatoes, eggs. It's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving.
For those wondering, that is Nicole Westbrook with what I consider to be the ultimate Thanksgiving bop entitled It's Thanksgiving. Yes, it is an objectively terrible song. It's by the same guy, Patrice something or other, who was the producer who about a decade or so ago gave us It's Friday by Rebecca Black. He had a business where he would convince gullible, wealthy parents that their talentless daughters could become pop stars, and he would actually provide a full-service thing where he would create a single for them and a music video, and he did. And the 2 that he did that were most notable, that went on YouTube and immediately became viral sensations for all the wrong reasons, were Rebecca Black, Friday, and Nicole Westbrook, It's Thanksgiving. And ever since, I've been using this as our unofficial Thanksgiving theme here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. It's catchy. It is catchy. Yes, I'm aware it's a terrible song, but it's our terrible Thanksgiving song. Coming up on Wednesday's show, I am so excited for this. We started the tradition last year, maybe 2 years ago. Following Rush Limbaugh's passing, we are going to play one of his monologues about the first Thanksgiving, the real story of the first Thanksgiving. For at least 10 minutes, we'll say thank you to Rush Limbaugh for his decades of teaching us and companionship and that sort of thing. You will hear his voice again here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. The true story of the first Thanksgiving as presented by Rush Limbaugh. That's coming up on Wednesday. Today, we say happy birthday, or in a phrase he'd be more likely to understand, happy Veterans Day. Happy 4th of July. Mr. President Joe Biden turns 81 years old.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing. I know
want. We choose truth over facts. And I know what you need.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
But I'm gonna screw it up, yeah, 'cause I'm an idiot.
And he's our birthday boy, ladies and gentlemen. During a dinner last night to honor service members and their families, folks, I don't know how to say this. We had a return of creepy Joe Biden. He sees a little girl sitting at a table right in the front row with her family, and he immediately goes over to her, and well, this happens.
Thank you. And I love your ears.
She's wearing Mickey Mouse
They're
ears.
really cool. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, what a beautiful name. That's my mommy's name. Well, nice to see. How old are you, 17? 6.
Ew. If this was any other man in the country besides the President of the United States, how quickly would that father have knocked the dude out? Are you 17? Now, if Biden didn't have a long history of being really, really, really creepy with women and girls, I might chalk this up to his dementia. He's trying to be playful, like, how old are you, sweetie? Oh, you're such a big girl. Are you know, it comes across as, it gives me the creeps.
Thank you. And I love your ears. I love them. They're really cool. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, what a beautiful name. That's my mommy's name. Well, nice to see. How old are you, 17? 6.
6. So, unfortunately, that might be too young even for me, in part because of the creepiness, in part because he's 81 years old, in part because he's just plain incompetent. Democrats are perhaps more than ever absolutely panicking about Biden's re-election chances.
Joe Biden is old and Kamala Harris is unprepared.
A lot of the people who would like Democrats to win are worried not just about his age, but about his record and his scandals.
I think that there is almost a panic setting in.
Panic on the streets of London. Panic on the streets of Birmingham. I wonder to myself.
That panic hit a fever pitch. Former DNC chairwoman Donna Brazile was on the Bill Maher Real-Time show on HBO on Friday, and Maher was saying, hey, Biden's pretty old. Is this a problem? Now, Brazile tried her best to spin, but there's no spinning Biden's obvious decline.
Everyone ages differently.
I agree.
And you know, so Betty White lived to be 99. Mick Jagger is still twisting his ass.
Mr. Right. I've been the one making that case year after year here against ageism. I always said it's a case-by-case basis.
It's a case by
but for
case.
that argument to have teeth, you also have to be the person who can go, yeah, but this is the case. And I've said it before. Do I think Joe Biden can do the job? Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't think he can win the job. And that's what I care about. He's going to lose because the people think he's too old. And perception is reality. I'm sorry.
It's not a perception, Bill. It is the reality. He's too old. It doesn't matter how old he is. And Brazile is right on that score, that you're only as old as you feel, or as, you know, if your body and brain start to go, that's when you age. Betty White was with it until the day she died. Was that New Year's Eve of 2021, something like that? It was just shy of her 100th birthday. She was about as with it as it gets. Same thing with Queen Elizabeth, 96 years old, in very, very good health, sharp as a tack, until eventually, was it blood cancer that got her? She had some form of cancer that eventually killed her in September of 2022. You can be sharp, fit, active, and with it well into your 90s, into your hundreds. My goodness, I just read a story the other day about a 104-year-old woman who still drives herself to doctor's appointments. It's part of a Wall Street Journal thing on old people telling the secrets of living to that age. I just happened to come across. So it's possible. Biden is not that person. He's clearly he hasn't lost a step. He's lost about a half marathon from where he was as recently as 5-6 years ago. Look at him during the 2020 campaign and look at him now. Look at him during the 2012 campaign. Remember his boorish debate against Paul Ryan in the vice president debate? Say what you will, and he was boorish. He was interrupting. He was a buffoon. He was, well, Biden. He was still with it. In large part because of how obviously he's declined, liberals are now absolutely freaking out over a brand new NBC News poll showing for the very first time, not just in the 2024 cycle, but including 2019 and 2020 as well, Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden in a nationwide poll.
Donald Trump, we have at 46%, Biden, 44%.
And this is significant because this is the first time in the history of our poll that former President Trump beats President Biden, still within the margin of error, but still significant.
Yeah, in 2019, 2020, when Trump was president, he trailed all of them. This year, he's trailed all of them in our poll. First time in more than a dozen polls we've seen a result like this.
That's Steve Kornacki and Kristen Welker on Meet the Press yesterday. Maureen Dowd, who has long been considered one of the leading voices in the establishment Democratic Party. She is a columnist for the New York Times. Her most recent piece is called "The Axe is Sharp," referring to David Axelrod. Axelrod said Biden has no better than a 50-50 chance of winning the next presidential election, that he needs to graciously step aside to allow someone else to get in there, preferably not Kamala Harris, because she's perhaps the only person who's polling worse than Biden is right now against Trump or any other Republican for that matter. Biden apparently called Axelrod I'm not even sure if I can say this. I can? Yeah. It's like when you stab yourself with a needle, it's just a little prick. It's a little prick with a needle. She called him that. Or rather, Biden did. And Maureen says, no, Biden is not. Or excuse me, Axelrod is not. He said, I don't care about them thinking I'm a prick. That's fine. I hope they don't think the polls are wrong because they're not. Dowd writes, according to a New York Times Siena College poll, Donald Trump is ahead in 5 battleground states. And as some other surveys have found, is even making inroads among black voters and young voters. There's a generational fracture in the Democratic Party over the Israel-Hamas horror in Biden's age. Third-party spoilers are circling. The president turns 81 on Monday. The Oval Office hollows out its occupants quickly, and Biden is dealing with 2 world-shattering wars, chaos at the border, a riven party, and a roiling country. I think he has a 50-50 shot here, but no better than that, maybe a little worse, Axelrod said. He thinks he can cheat nature here, and it's really risky. They've got a real problem if they're counting on Trump to win it for them. I remember Hillary doing that too. The president's flash of anger indicates that he may be in denial, surrounded by enablers who are sugarcoating a grim political forecast. Like other polls, Biden has a healthy ego, and like all presidents, he's truculent about not getting the credit he thinks he deserves for his accomplishments. And it must be infuriating that most of the age qualms are about him when Trump is only a few years younger. For Biden, this is about his identity. It's what he has fought for all his life, even battling his way through friendly fire, as Hunter Biden told me, in the Obama White House when some Obama aides undermined him. It must have been awful when Obama took his vice president to lunch and nudged him aside for Hillary to run in 2016. Biden craves the affirmation of being reelected. He doesn't want to look like a guy who has been driven from office, but he should not indulge the Irish chip on his shoulder. He needs to gather the sharpest minds in his party and hear what they have to say, not engage in petty feuds. That Maureen Dowd writing in the New York Times. If Dowd is saying this, and Bill Maher is saying this, and David Axelrod is saying this, and Donna Brazile is tacitly admitting that, yes, Biden's age and apparent infirmity is a big obstacle to climb, then you should take all of these people who are some of the leading strategists in the Democratic Party at face value. that they are in utter panic that Donald Trump could actually win this election. But again, as I have been trying to hammer home for months and months and months, running Biden requires Trump to be his opponent. I've got the proof coming up next.
More of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Next.
Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. Everybody loves this month. Thanksgiving, right? But don't forget Black Friday. It's the time of the year where you can get some amazing deals. Well, at the Lynch family of dealerships, they've got Black Friday savings all month long. Lynch has restocked its inventory so you can shop over 800 vehicles either on the ground or online at shoplynch.com. They've got trucks, cars, SUVs for the family, but the best part is there's no need to wait for hours in line or to put yourself in danger at a department store or big box store, because the Lynch family has your back. Black Friday savings all month long. Plus, you get your windshield and paint protected to get ready for those brutal winter months coming up. And that's why I highly recommend the Lynch family of dealerships. Best place to start shopping right now, shoplynch.com. That's shoplynch.com.
Hospitalized medicine doesn't want you dead. Unfortunately, they also don't want you healthfully out of the profit matrix. At Total Health, our goal is to restore health so you don't need treatment. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution. TotalHealthInc.com.
Set your game plan for a new baseball season with the 2024 Brewers 4-Pack. Don't wait. Get yours by November 27th and get a 5th game added to your plan for free. That's 4 action-packed plan choices, your first chance at the best seats, and a bonus Brewers game free for early buyers. Plus, each pair of a 4-pack comes with a Brewers Knit Hack. Act now and get this limited time offer at brewers.com/4packs.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/radio. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now only at bartesian.com/radio. That's BARTESIAN.com/radio for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/radio.
Here's why money. Warshevsky.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Say about polls, especially this far removed from an election. Take them not with a grain of salt, but rather an entire quarry. What you do need to look at, though, is whether all the polls are essentially saying the same thing, and whether the people who have access to much better polls, strategists, candidates themselves, are behaving as though this is something you need to pay attention to. That is happening right now. It's not just the NBC News poll that was released yesterday. It's not just that New York Times Siena College poll either last week or the week before that showed Trump leading Biden in 5 of the 6 key swing states. The only one he's not leading in is Wisconsin. Wisconsin wouldn't matter in that scenario. Trump would win, as he would put it, bigly. In fact, why Democrats are freaking out so much about Trump leading 46-44, which is well within the margin of error of this NBC News poll, is that Trump, or any Republican really, can win the presidency relatively handily, even if he loses by 1 to 2% of the national popular vote. Why do you think Democrats are so desperate to get rid of the Electoral College? They want to be able to run up the margins in 3 or 4 cities: Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Houston, Philadelphia. The entire margin of victory of Hillary Clinton in the popular vote over Donald Trump was, I believe we crunched the numbers, it was something like her margin in 5 cities, which is why the framers had an electoral college to begin with, so that large cities at the time, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, wouldn't be able to dominate the rest of the states. The whole point is to give people as equal a voice as possible, so that big areas, heavily populated areas, can't just dominate the rest of the country. The framers were actually remarkably brilliant in that sense. So if Trump is actually leading Biden, then the swing state numbers must be devastatingly bad for Biden. But here's where things get really interesting. Every poll shows Trump a little bit ahead of Biden, right? The NBC News poll asked something that hasn't really been asked. What would happen if it wasn't Donald Trump as the standard bearer of the Republican Party, but rather an unnamed generic Republican? And they asked the same thing about Biden. Steve Kornacki with the results.
Biden against an unnamed Republican. This is just a referendum on Biden, basically. And look at this. He goes from being in a dogfight with Trump to being double digits behind, but then flip it around. Trump against an unnamed Democrat. Trump goes from leading against Biden to being down by 6 points against the Democrat.
What does this tell you? Both men are exceedingly unpopular. Biden trails a generic Republican by 11 points. Either Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or Chris Christie, or I'm going to toss Vivek Ramaswamy out there because he's not a generic Republican or generic-ish Republican. If the election, in other words, is a straight-up referendum on Biden, which every election of a sitting president should be, he loses. He fails that test. But if Trump's in the race essentially becomes a referendum on Trump. This is the fundamental point I have been trying to hammer home for at least, well, pretty much a year now. The 2022 midterm elections were less about abortion than they were about voter distaste for Trump. The Republican brand suffering in the states that Republicans needed to win to retake control of the Senate, Georgia chief among them. Yes, there was some candidate weakness, especially in Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz, and in Georgia with Herschel Walker. Also in Nevada, I don't think Republicans ran the strongest candidates. Certainly in Arizona, Blake Masters was not the strongest candidate they could have run. But Democrats made the race not about abortion per se, but about Donald Trump. Do I need to take you back to Joe Biden's red fire and brimstone Philadelphia speech right after Labor Day, where he basically said Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are an existential threat to this country? The American people passed judgment on Donald Trump. And I think we're really doing ourselves a disservice to ignore that and just totally discount it. Well, Dan, there was so much fraud in that election that Biden didn't really get 88 million votes or whatever he got. No. 88 million people voted against Donald Trump. The election was a referendum on Trump. The reason Biden was selected as the Democrat candidate was because he was about as close to a generic Democrat as they could find. Republicans would be well served to follow that lead. I think it's becoming abundantly clear that they're not going to. DeSantis appears to me to be the only non-Trump Republican candidate to have any sort of chance of wrestling the nomination away from Trump. And honestly, I think that chance dissipated to about zero as soon as Trump was indicted in New York. because what that did was send, and you can see it reflected in pretty much every poll. DeSantis was leading. He was leading Trump by a significant amount. Voters were ready to say, okay, enough of the craziness with Trump, enough of this. He had his chance. It's time to move forward. It was sort of like, and I drew the comparison to last year in the midterm elections to the midterm elections of 1978. In which voters were clearly dissatisfied with Jimmy Carter. They despised Jimmy Carter. But the specter of Nixon still hung over the Republican Party. It wasn't until, and Republicans deeply disappointed in the midterms of 1970. They were expected to sweep everything, they didn't. And it was largely because as much as the voters were dissatisfied with Jimmy Carter, they were still punishing Republicans for Nixon. It was only in 1980 when the party was essentially taken over by a fresh-faced, still, yes, older gentleman named Ronald Reagan, who promised a conservative revolution, that he just dominated. He dominated Carter. I think the exact same dynamics are at play. And if the party renominates someone who voters have already said, we don't like, we rejected, you're going to see the exact same thing. Why do you think Democrats are still steadfastly holding on to Joe Biden? Because they're convinced that the nominee is going to be Donald Trump. I believe, and I have believed this for more than a year now, that they have privately conceded that the only Republican that Biden can possibly beat is Trump. Now we've got to ask, are Republicans going to be gullible enough to give the Democratic Party exactly what they want and exactly the candidate they want to run against?
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
With nearly 50 years of experience, my dad, Jim Mullally, has taught my cousin Mark everything he knows. In fact, he bestowed so much expertise onto Mark that Mark went to New York to compete against the top furniture finishers in the country. And you know what? He won. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. The bulk of our business is in wood furniture restoration. We found that there are a lot of folks out there with antique furniture and heirloom pieces that are in good shape, but just need to be brought back to life again. Well, that's our specialty. And right here in Mequon, you'll find one of the country's top furniture finishers. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass with 5 locations to serve you. You know, you hear me talk all the time about how great Mander is. Here's one of their customers, Brian. All I can say is fantastic service. For the first time in almost 50 years, I had the need of a body shop due to a front-end collision. Based on all the reviews I read, I was especially impressed with Mander Collision. From the first call until work was completed, I was treated like the most important customer they had. Megan was very attentive and focused on my situation. She kept me appraised of progress and couldn't have made me feel more at ease. The car was repaired sooner than expected and looked perfect. I know if I ever need this type of service in the future, I will not have to look anywhere else. Thanks, Mander Collision, for a job well done. And thank you, Brian, for proving once again that Mander truly is your best decision after a collision. Start your repair online right now at mandercollision.com.
A business person recently said it's like inmates are running the asylum. Regarding disgruntled employees, human capital management systems from the benefit companies will restore sanity to your workforce. Connect and Simplify. InSource. The benefit companies. ConnectandSimplify.com. I'm Benefit Companies Kurt Otto. INET is a knowledgeable, enthusiastic, innovative, creative, focused, true genius. An expert at branding business visually and telling your story. Making potential new business make contact.
Your marketing guru or web developer can't do what INET does, maximizing your business profitability. Just like you can't keep up with regulations and see all opportunity to maximize business efficiencies like your in-source benefit companies will. ConnectandSimplify.com.
CreativeGeniusMarketing.com. INET-web.com.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services and host of the Designer Yard Show. I want to share a landscaping secret with you. Winter is when our ornamental trees and shrubs need us most. We all know that plants need pruning, but why in the winter? Well, first, we can see their structure best when the leaves have fallen. And second, pruning is not so stressful when your plants are dormant. Pruning is affordable and makes a huge impact on the vitality and beauty of your trees and shrubs. So prune this winter and have gorgeous flowers next spring and summer. Pruning also helps keep your plants properly sized. No more dancing around them on the sidewalk or wrestling through them to wash your windows. Call today and schedule a complimentary evaluation of your ornamental plants. Our plant care experts will make sure your trees, shrubs, and perennials perform and look their best. Discover the wonders of nature. Call Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Hi, Dr. Bruce Massaro here. As a board-certified eye plastic surgeon, I know that truly baggy, tired-looking eyes don't improve with cosmetics, creams, or spa treatments. In fact, the typical complaint I hear is people say I look tired. And while eyelid rejuvenating surgery isn't for everyone, it's the only way truly tired eyes, like yours, can achieve real, lasting results. Eyes that look healthy, rested, younger, natural. Eyelid surgery is my expertise. It's my profession. It's what I do every day, not some days. And that's why so many doctors, nurses, beauty professionals, and hospitals choose me for their patients who really need eyelid surgery. They know I don't do tummy tucks, breast dogs, cataracts, or skincare. They know my work. So why not choose the best specialist for your special eyes? Why not wake up your tired eyes with something that does work? Give me a call. I'm Dr. Massaro, 414-266-4488, and visit liddoc.com.
Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer makes selling your home as easy as 1, 2, 3. Get a no-obligation cash offer in 24 hours. Make sure it works for you, then pick your closing date. We will handle literally everything else at no expense. Visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com.
Get 10% off your roofing project if you call and sign up before the end of the year. And if the weather turns south, we'll still hold your price for next year. So count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
Hi, I'm Daniel Tosh, host of a new podcast called Tosh Show, brought to you by iHeart Podcasts. I'll be interviewing people that I find interesting, so not celebrities, and certainly not comedians. We'll be covering topics like religion, travel, sports, gambling, but mostly it will be about being a working mother. If you're looking for a podcast that will educate and inspire, or one that will really make you think, this isn't the one for you. Listen to Tosh Show on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Perhaps a preview of things to come in November of 2024 in the United States, in November of 2023, in, of all places, Argentina. Colorful libertarian outsider Javier Milei swept to victory in a runoff over the Peronist Sergio Massa, 55.7% of the vote to 44%. This was a wipeout. And all you need to do is to go to social media. None of the clips are translated with audio, but I would encourage you to watch clips of Milei. He's pretty difficult to miss. He's got a very distinctive hairstyle, and he's a very energetic dude, and he refers to leftists in mocking, insulting terms. Remind you of anybody? Let's see. Distinctive hair, outsider, mocks leftists, very populist. He is a gray-haired, slightly less funny, and I'll only say slightly, Donald Trump. A lot of people see this just as the Brexit vote in the summer of 2016 as sort of a harbinger of things to come in the United States. The fact that Milei swept to victory, just as Brexit defied experts, and this was when Great Britain exited the European Union, it was seen as a populist movement. The world is, I think, getting tired of globalist leftism. The idea that our socialist betters need to central plan our lives for us. The fundamental state of human consciousness is that of freedom. We do not exist to be ruled, we exist to be free. I think there is, and what was the central issue in the Argentinian election? Inflation. If you thought it was bad in the United States, they had hyperinflation. And what the Peronist candidate Massa tried to paint Milei as was too dangerous, too reckless. He tried to turn it into a referendum on Milei's personality, just as Biden and the Democrats are inevitably going to do with Donald Trump next year. They've already been doing it really since Trump lost in 2020. Didn't work, because the status quo was so unpopular that Milei dominated. Now, will the same thing happen in the United States? It's impossible to tell. But there have been more populist movements, more conservative libertarian movements popping up and being successful in elections across the globe, just as there were in 2016, which sort of terrified the institutional left. And just as in Argentina, the central question was, is Milei too reckless? Is he too flippant? Is he too much of a loose cannon to run Argentina? So too is the question going to be, is Donald Trump, the insurrectionist, too dangerous to be allowed to return to power in the United States? I do find it hilarious that, do you know what they're already saying about Milei's election? A free, honest, fairly run election. Weirdly enough, Argentina, a population of millions and millions and millions of people, do you realize they counted all of their votes within about 7 hours? How was it that Maricopa County in Arizona took like a week to count 2.5 million ballots? How is it that the United States can't count its ballots? We used to be able to. We used to be able to tell within 5 hours on election night who is going to be our next president. Now, nah, we just kind of keep counting. Well, the ballots keep coming in. What are you going to do? But this was a fair election. The losing candidate conceded almost immediately. And what is the global press writing? It's a threat to democracy. A guy we don't like winning is a threat to democracy. That's sort of the exact definition of democracy. Someone wins regardless of whether you like him or dislike him, but the people vote, and he gets more votes than the other guy. That's generally how it works. But it's remarkable the parallels between Milei and the way he was demonized in Trump. And what I have been trying to hammer home is that whether or not we want it to be, the 2024 election, if Trump is the Republican candidate, will be a referendum on Trump. And the fundamental question isn't going to be, are you or are you not better off than you were 4 years ago? Obviously, the answer is no when it comes to Joe Biden. But do you want Donald Trump again? Got a tweet from a listener, loyal listener. He said, what you and others fail to realize is that those of us who strongly support Trump will not vote for a neocon. We are far more likely to vote for Kennedy than DeSantis, Nixie, I believe he means Nikki, or Ramaswamy. Uniparty candidates will not get our support, period. And he used the exclamation point. I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't use sad exclamation point like Trump. But this is the fundamental problem. That you do have a strong segment of Trump voters who will not accept the party moving past Trump, even though Democrats have been telegraphing for the better part of 4 years that they desperately want Donald Trump to be the candidate. All of the charges against Donald Trump are not designed to get him kicked off the ballot. Did you realize every single attempt to get Trump off the ballot in certain states has failed? Michigan failed. Colorado just came down on Friday, failed. If they really were so terrified of Donald Trump that they didn't want him to run again, don't you think sympathetic judges would have tossed him off the ballot? Now, it would have been overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, fairly obviously, but they want Trump on the ballot. They want to run against Donald Trump, and I am absolutely convinced, and the NBC poll is yet more evidence, that any other Republican would thump Joe Biden, would thump Kamala Harris. And it's because so many people have already made their minds up about Trump. Whether or not there were fraudulent votes cast in 2020, and there were. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying. There are fraudulent votes cast in every single election. Was the Wisconsin election held in accordance with state law? It most certainly was not, but don't take my word for it. Listen to the Legislative Audit Bureau, who said the same thing. There were tens of thousands of votes that should not have been counted because they were not cast in accordance with state law. Regardless of that, if you believe that all 80 plus million votes for Joe Biden were fraudulent, I don't know what to tell you. There is a certain percentage of people who did vote for Biden, and I am telling you also that a substantial percentage of Biden votes were votes against Trump. Just as a substantial portion of votes for Trump in 2016 were votes against Hillary Clinton. What this election is going to come down to, assuming Trump is the nominee, and I would put that likelihood at somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 80% right now. If Trump is the nominee, this election is going to come down to, has Biden become so unpalatable to voters that Trump, who is also unpalatable to voters, is actually a better option? Do you think it's also a coincidence that we're now hyper-focused on third-party candidates, that we're all super concerned about third-party candidates? That there's this renewed interest in Robert Kennedy Jr. and the No Labels Party, Joe Manchin and whoever it is that's also behind this. Romney, I think, is one of them. Who do you think, just out of curiosity, who do you think Mitt Romney and Joe Manchin on balance would rather have as president, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Exactly, Biden. Robert F. Kennedy, as this listener stated, would be more likely, he is a hardcore Trump fan, but he's going to vote for a Democrat ahead of the neocons, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Vivek Ramaswamy. He thinks Robert F. Kennedy is more of a conservative than them. Do you think, at the same time, a liberal who is disaffected with Joe Biden is going to vote for Kennedy over Biden? Do you ever hear Democrats saying, I'm going to vote for if it's not my guy, I'm going to vote for a third party, I'm going to vote for a Republican? The Bernie bros are a classic example, Dave. Bernie Sanders not once but twice got screwed out of the Democratic nomination. First in 2016 when Donna Brazile, then DNC chairwoman, rigged the proceedings for Hillary Clinton, even going so far as to give her debate questions in advance. In 2020, they coordinated so that every other non-Biden candidate, save of course for Elizabeth Warren, dropped out. Why was Warren allowed to stay in the race? So she would siphon votes away from Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden would cruise to victory. The Bernie bros were furious, especially in 2016. Guess who they all voted for? Hillary Clinton. The only thing that cost Hillary Clinton in 2020 was the Green Party being on the ballot in Wisconsin. If Jill Stein was not on the ballot, it's entirely possible she wins Wisconsin and she wins the election. And we're talking about the second term of Hillary Clinton right now. A third-party candidate serves only as a spoiler. And right now, the idea that these candidates are being promoted tells me, in the media, it tells me that those candidates are designed to spoil the race for Republicans. Stay tuned. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back very shortly.
Dan O'Donnell is coming right back.
We've told you about Moses Hadara.
The diamond cutter who created the Kessler 81.
the magical diamond that vibrates with light.
Kessler's works with crazy diamond cutters.
Geniuses who create wonderful, spectacular,
crazy diamond shapes.
The one thing these crazy genius diamonds all have in common
is that they explode with light.
The Kessler Emerald Cut diamond sends out rippling waves of light, like water lapping onto a beach.
The Kessler Square Radiant Diamond glows like the sun on the horizon.
Sometimes sunrise,
sometimes sunset.
Come to Kessler's.
Come to Kessler's.
Come to Kessler's.
Ask to see the rippling waves of light, like water on the beach.
Ask to see the glow that looks like sunrise and sunset.
Ask to see the Kessler Crazy Genius Diamonds.
See them for yourself.
See them for yourself.
See them for yourself.
To find the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
I'm defense attorney Tom Grieve. If you drive drunk, you will be pulled over and you will be arrested. You cannot talk your way out of a DUI, but you can keep your mouth shut for your best defense. Call my team of award-winning former state prosecutors. You are only guilty if you are convicted. GrieveLaw.com.
Hello, commercial customers. This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center, and it's end of the year tax planning season. We've continued to work hard sourcing over 400 of the best GM, Hino, and Isuzu commercial trucks from all over the country. Most are ready to go, and some are ready for your custom upfit. The best part? All of our trucks qualify for the Section 179 tax deduction for 2023. Now, I know you're busy running your business, but we've made it easy. Go to lynchtruckcenter.com, select your truck, and click on the green button on each truck page to instantly see potential tax savings. For example, if you buy a $50,000 truck at a 22% tax rate, you'll get $11,000 in potential tax savings. You can deduct 100% of the purchase price from your 2023 taxes. Essentially, the truck will only cost you $39,000. Remember, we are in the truck business, not accountants. So, be sure to verify these tax savings with your tax professional. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com today. We won't disappoint you.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellenbecker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
Menards 11% sale is ending on Thanksgiving Day. Don't miss out. Get a countertop that's durable, affordable, and easy to install. Transform everyday spaces into gathering places with Menards' great selection of countertops. Visit our kitchen showrooms in store or go to menards.com for your free estimates today. Stores closed Thanksgiving, but 11% off remains in effect on menards.com. Savings are mail-in rebates. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
iHeartRadio is your #1 app for the holidays. Just open the app and search iHeart Holiday and start listening now. You'll see your local holiday radio station, plus all kinds of other holiday stations, playlists, and podcasts. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
All right, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our great friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, you start by going to their website, henryusa.com. Order their free holiday gift guide, and they'll mail it with free decals that you can use for stocking stuffers. Perfect timing. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that is built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen as a collector. Now, their performance is top-notch. Mine were accurate, all of them, right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight, and they have been reliable ever since. They have over 200 models of rifles and shotguns and revolvers to choose from. One of the things I like the most about these firearms, they're family heirlooms. They'll always be backed by the company's lifetime warranty. So if you want to put something that's made in America under the tree this Christmas, henryusa.com. Get their free gift guide and their decals today. That's henryusa.com. You will love this company.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
If you love football information and think you can profit from it, listen to the Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest, Thursdays in the 5 o'clock hour. Mark and Mike Merlette from American Sports Analysts look at pro and college games. Plus, one listener gets to pick a game against a spread or an over-under number for a chance to win $100.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac. 6 automotive brands all in one place. It's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
No radio handy?
No problem. Listen to WISN's live audio stream 24/7 via the web. Just click on the Listen Online tab at newstalk1130.com.
So how are we feeling about the Packers? They're still not very good. That was a great win, though, yesterday. Much needed win, I think. Don't look now, but the Packers are not out of the playoff. No, I don't think they're actually going to make the playoffs. As soon as they traded Rasul Douglas, who did you see what kind of day he had yesterday? Interceptions, fumble recovery. No, I know they needed to get rid of him. Just as the Brewers, I know, needed to non-tender Brandon Woodruff, which they did late last week. That means they're not offering him a contract. Woodruff's not going to pitch next year. He's going to miss the entire season, so you couldn't pay him $12 million to do nothing. There was some hope that he would come back or will come back. I can't imagine any team signing him. But who knows? This is a transition year for the Packers, and all they needed was to know that Jordan Love is the guy. And I've been looking for the last half hour for this statistical comparison of Aaron Rodgers through the first 10 starts of his career and Jordan Love. The numbers are nearly identical. Now, granted, you can make statistics say anything, and the eyeball test says Aaron Rodgers was clearly a better player right away than Jordan Love. But what was the knock on Rodgers? Do you remember the knock on Rodgers early on in his career? He held on to the ball too long, Dave. That's exactly right. What's the knock on Jordan Love? Holds on to the ball too long, and when he doesn't, he's making bad throws that result in interceptions. He's missing open guys. Yeah, overthrowing, underthrowing. The one was it to Musgrave, who was wide open. And it sort of looked like Musgrave pulled up on the route, but Love clearly overthrew him. I've seen enough to say that, as I've been saying for a long time now, I think Jordan Love is a good football player. I think this existential dread that Packers fans always seem to have. And was I the only person from the Milwaukee area not at the game yesterday? You were not there either. Do you have the gold package game? No, you have access to tickets? I'm sure had I really wanted to go, I could have gone. I was coaching a little soccer and just kind of relaxing yesterday. Yeah, everybody, all I see all day on Facebook was pictures of people at the game or in their cars on the way to the game, that sort of thing. The Packers, of course, play the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving Day. It's the early game. Of course, the Lions have had the early game since the 1950s, 60s. They and the Dallas Cowboys always get home games on Thanksgiving. It's actually an interesting story. The NFL asked, hey, who wants to host Thanksgiving Day games? And the Lions were the first team to say, yeah, we'll do it. Turns out to be probably the best decision that they ever made. But the Lions are a very good team. They just keep winning. They have one of the best records in the NFL. Their offense is legit. Jared Goff is a very good player. Their defense is getting the job done. I think they've got one of the 6 or 7 best wide receivers in the league in Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got 2 great young running backs. The offensive line is holding. This is a very, very good team. The line's opening at 7.5. Can you remember the last time the Lions beat the Packers on Thanksgiving Day? I don't even remember, Dave. Forget about Barry Sanders. Dave's wondering if Dwight Eisenhower was in the White House. Packers are 1-4 away from the friendly confines of Lambeau Field. So it's possible that, like the first game these two teams played at Lambeau, this one gets out of control quickly. But again, it's not that I've written off this season. It's that this season is about the future. It's about getting young guys, especially Love, time. And Love's clearly going to have another season, unless somehow the Packers get the number 1 overall pick, and then they've got to make a decision about whether they want to take Caleb Williams, who, incidentally, they're calling him a generational prospect. I'm not totally sold on him. There's just a nagging thing in my brain that screams bust. I don't know what it is. The guy is very accurate. He's a great football player, but I remember when Jamarcus Russell and Vince Young were going to be the next superstars of football, and they were the best prospects since Peyton Manning too, and I just was a little wary. All right, we are out of time for the Monday edition of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Got a fun exclusive story to break for you tomorrow. Can't wait to do so. 9 a.m. right here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.